everybody doing? Wonderful. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for being here, for your presence, your energy, your prana, your life, your light. My name's Beth. I'm here to talk about Somatic Trauma Experiencing. So I'm going to go through what that's all about and hopefully maybe inspire you a bit. That if I've given a bit of what I've connected to that's helped me along my healing journey, then this is a great success. So it's an incredible honor to be here today among very esteemed peers in the field of emerging science and health. It's an honor to speak about a topic that is deeply personal to me and one that has the potential to transform not just how we experience pain, but how we understand ourselves, our bodies, and the messages Spirit sends us through them. Pain wants to be seen and heard, just like we all do, just like all little children do, which we all were and still are in many ways. Healing, trauma. These are really big buzzwords right now, right? I think if there's any word to describe the pulse of today, it would be heal. And what are we healing from? Ouchies. Yes. Great. Thank you. I mean, there's a movie called Heal. We have the holistic psychologist, self-healer circle, and many other leaders in the field. I have personally been healing and helping to self-heal others from all forms of, can you guess? Ouchies. Trauma. Yes, the big T. Also the topic of the biggest debate amongst addiction recoverers. Is trauma responsible for all of our pain and all of our addictions? What about all dis-ease in the body and all pain? Today I'm going to argue that yes, on some level, and regardless of what it actually is, what level it affected us, trauma is, in fact, responsible for all of our pain, which is to say, addictions, our disabilities, if, and a very big if, it serves our higher purpose. What we are on this planet to do with this one precious life. Or as I believe, the multitudinous iterations of life on this planet, even though we absolutely only get this one crack at this one right now. Somatic is also a buzzword today, which in its purest form simply is defined by of or relating to body. I'm a body, right? I don't have a body, I am a body. And it's also separate from mind, which is not to say brain, right? Brain is a part of my body, my soma. But my mind, where's my mind? I've lost it. In Greek, the word soma evolved to mean the body living in its wholeness, or the body experienced from within. I love that. Now, I'm a holistic coach, so I'm not trying to be the authority or claiming that I am on this topic. I am, however, highly experienced in this field, and I also believe you are wholly resourced, fully supported, and divinely loved and guided at all times. I trust, first and foremost, your own unique ability to navigate anything that comes your way, just as you've always done. You've gotten yourself this far, right? I didn't get there for you. And you're awesome. You are awesome. And if you don't believe that, then we've got some work to do. After all, I'm a self-love coach who never loved herself. So I know. Second, I trust my own offer to you today of an evocation of awareness. That's what we do as coaches. We evoke awareness so that you may be empowered to perhaps do differently for yourself. Not think, do. As my sponsor always says, right action yields right thinking, not the other way around. In cognitive behavioral therapy, we recognize that a way to stop the brain in its tracks is either to feel a different emotion or change a behavior or habit. And that, my beautiful friends, is what I would like to offer to you today. An invitation to consider an edit, maybe 1%, maybe 99, maybe 2,099, to the way you've done things in the past, maybe even the way you've done things this very day, in order to get what you've always wanted, something different in order for you to live in your wholeness, in your body, to experience yourself from within. Sounds good, right? It does to me. So we have bajillions of parts within us. We are full of nadis. These are energy centers. We have 72,000 of them planetary and orbiting around in our systems. And that's just an energetic level, right? Is that soma? Is that within the body? Arguable. It doesn't even involve our breath, our prana, our organs, all the water inside of us, the nutrients, the blood. I could go on forever. So to be experiencing ourselves from within is a big-ass job. In psychology and psychotherapy, soma can refer to the body or to a therapeutic practice that focuses on the body-mind connection. Notice how it's not body-brain connection. There's a big difference. Your mind is not just your brain, but your brain is not your mind. Your mind is something far more, and it's connected to your higher power, whatever that is for you. Your mind is aware of you and can simultaneously observe you. This is what we attain in meditation. A quote from the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali. Yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. And fluctuations are disturbances, are maya, all that is, all that exists. It's just maya. It's story, it's stuff, all that exists in our experience of reality, and that includes the pain. Raise your hand if you want to or like feeling pain. And I'm not talking about other sadistic motherfuckers who like to really just like burn it out at the gym and really feel like you're really hurting. I mean like real pain, right? All of our life is spent avoiding pain. Why do you eat? You want to avoid the pain of hunger. Why do you sleep? You want to avoid the pain of tiredness and exhaustion. Why do you drink alcohol? You want to avoid the uneasy feeling you get when you sit at a bar with nothing to say to these people sitting in front of you who you call your friends, who you really question what you even have in common with them. Just kidding. Am I, though? Or because you want to avoid the pain of the soul-sucking job you have that you can't quit because life is so fucking expensive and this is the best I could do for now. But then later never comes. Why do you smoke cigarettes, marijuana, crack? I'm not judging. Because you want to avoid the pain of accepting the current state of this very moment. And that all your failures and doubts and limiting beliefs are actually right. I know, it sucks. Why do we go to the doctor? Even after the doctor tells us, there's nothing wrong, come back if symptoms persist or get any worse. And then you do go back, and the doctor still doesn't know. Yet we return again and again to pay all the money, health insurance, the copay, everything, only to be told to write it down on a piece of paper that goes when you give it to the receptionist to then have it appear in the examination room. I have no idea where these things go. Or the doctor's reading it for the first time, not even looking at you, and then to tell you blindly while typing your answers into a computer system, what? They're not asking you questions. What do you eat every day? How well do you sleep? Do you have any underlying emotional issues troubling you? Just looks fine to me. Yeah, of course it does, doc, because you didn't even look at me. And I'm sitting right here on this weird parchment paper on this bar height seat in this sterile room, and you're looking at your fucking iPad, which is just like people's toddlers constantly trying to bribe it out of their hands to go outside or look at them. Oh, the irony. And why do we do this? Because we want to avoid the pain of not knowing what is wrong with us. I get it. I've done it. I'm 44. I've been to some doctors. I've been to some surgeons, Medicaid, GYN, Planned Parenthood, slightly better in clinics, but not by much. What I'm here to tell you today is that the freedom from pain lies in not only your body-mind, but in your body, mind, emotion, spirit connection, and not in the doctor's office. The only exception, a severe accident or injury where blood's gushing out of you, your limbs hanging off, something inside your brain bursts in an embolism, that is not the type of avoiding pain I'm talking about. Get your ass to emergency. But everything else, and I'll probably regret saying this at some point, be proven wrong, you know? But to my knowledge, everything else that I know of, I have 22 years of experience with personal practices of yoga and Ayurveda. I have practiced, much like a surgeon or a doctor does, on clients for the past 6 years, and all that I have seen and everything someone has had the time to come to me to heal is healable with only themselves. I promise. Now, the connection between your body, soma, and your mind has been largely overshadowed, conditioned out of us by modern society, governments, the medical industry, Food and Drug Administration, the list goes on. No one wants you to believe you have the power to heal yourself because then you are not a sick person and you eliminate the need for their industry or product. So, how somatic trauma experiencing, which is quite frankly, just give it away, is just very simple breath work, meditation practices, and creating a relationship with your feelings. It's simple. It's not easy. It's different because we believe in you as a wholly resourceful individual who already knows exactly what it is you need in every moment. You do. You all do. You know exactly what you need. No one else can tell you what's wrong. No one else knows. We don't view you as a commodity, but as a whole sovereign being with your own awareness of what works and what doesn't and how you can get there. And the reason why it works is that it finally gives you the power to choose exactly what you need to do for you. It doesn't tell you what to do. One of my favorite clients ever was working with her, and she told me at the end of our container, she was like, I gotta tell you, Beth, like at the beginning, and she's another Jersey girl like me, she's like, after the first session, I was like, what the fuck is this bitch doing? She's not, I'm paying her to ask me questions and not tell me anything? She didn't tell me anything. Just kept asking me questions. And she today is a nurse and can go into the hospital and find some kind of space for herself just by looking at the sky. She never realized that that was all that was needed and what was possible for her to find her center again. So I suggest things for you to do, but you truly guide the process. To the observer, it might look like voodoo, to be honest, but it's very real, I promise you. The best example I have of somatic trauma experiencing is a client who came to me. She said she felt like she had a brick around her chest. She was fed up with her coworkers, no one ever was talking about anything interesting. She escaped an abusive relationship and was raising her son alone, but just not satisfied, just not getting what she wanted out of life. One session of very basic somatic practice, and the next day she told me, I'm moving back to Poland. I've been wanting to travel forever and go, and I'm just going. I quit my job. Like, I literally put her on some blocks to lay down and said, what do you feel? Like, it's not rocket science. It's not hard. You know, it has this fancy technical name, somatic. Oh, it's so, cool. It's just laying and letting yourself relax and breathing into some space and letting yourself feel what comes up and actually acknowledging it, It's like when there's a toddler having a tantrum. It's like, what's going on, bud? I don't know. Of course you don't know. But like, what does it feel like? And then it's like part of NLP. You take them through the process, and it's like, you know, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Are you tired? Yeah. What do you want me to do? Kiss it. Okay, great. Now how you feel? Better. Done. You know? Oh. I just flipped through the... Hold on a second. Okay, so the whole fancy term, somatic trauma release experiencing, all we're doing is recognizing and addressing the emotional and spiritual messages coming from the beyond. I don't know where they are. I don't know where my mind is. I don't even know where my body is half the time. That's not true. I really know where my body is. I'm very embodied. But all of this is coming through the body. And most of the time, it's experiencing it for the first time, actually listening to it. Instead of just saying to the toddler, you know, freaking out in the grocery store, stop crying. What if I need to cry? What if I need to cry for 10 years? Then I need to cry for 10 years, you know? It happens when it happens, period. So this somatic trauma stored in the body is something incredibly important, but it's so overlooked. So we have trauma calcified over time. And this gives us the ability to release it by experiencing the emotions trapped within it. Simple, again, but not easy. Not everyone is willing to just do what they know to feel that. Our physical pain carries with it emotion and spiritual messages. All the pain points that I mentioned before, right? Sleep, food, they aren't just something we feel in our bodies. It's not just that sensation. You can deal with like a growling tummy, right? It's an echo of something deeper. These are emotions we experience that we haven't fully processed. And we can either resist acknowledging them and continue to feel the pain, or we can accept that we need to address them and accept the very simplicity of what that looks like. It's vastly overlooked. But these practices, soma, of the body, yoga, you know, to coin the completely overused term, is older than modern medicine. Right? The Vedas were written 3,000 years before modern medicine came into existence, before the Bible was written, you know? So just like we accept today, oh, I feel hungry, I'm going to eat. This is the purpose of somatic trauma experiences, so that we experience that pain and we feel it and go, oh, what do I need to address it? I'm just going to do it. Poof! The pain goes away. Kiss the boo-boo. Kiss the ouchie, right? This is a discussion about how we can recognize the messages, how to interpret and address them, and ultimately how to heal on a level that's far more profound and lasting than just treating a physical symptom. We're not talking about Band-Aids here. What if making back pain, for example, became as easy a thing to solve as eating a handful of nuts and some orange juice when we're starving? Right? Let's start by considering something we all know, pain. We've all had sharp, acute pain, maybe after an injury, a sprain, a headache. And then there's that chronic, persistent discomfort that nags at us day after day. If you have ever had chronic pain, sometimes without any clear physical cause, because it's not physical. But why doesn't pain just go away with medication or physical therapy or therapy? Why does it feel like we're stuck in our pain? You know, I know people that have gone to therapy for their whole lives. I'm one of them. You know, I was just like, where are we going? We go to doctors forever. Who's your primary care physician? What do they actually know about you? The human body is more than a mechanical system of muscles and bones and organs. It's a living, breathing vessel carrying emotions, memories, and experiences. It's also a highly advanced technology machine. It uses cutting-edge technology. It's evolved over centuries. It knows how to heal itself if given the right environment to thrive. Our body speaks to us in ways words can't express, and this is the essence of this practice. Tuning in to those messages and using those messages as the pathway for what we need to experience and feel to let it release. Since the 19th century, we haven't even recognized mental health as a thing. Freud began his work in the 1890s, and we still have not even begun to scratch the surface on what true holistic health looks like, encompassing not only the way your mind works, but how your mind then relates to the body, to your emotions, to your spirit. So, what's somatic trauma? Somatic trauma refers to any experience that overwhelms our ability to cope. I'm powerless. Or to process what's happening in that moment. You know, when we're young, if you've had childhood experiences that were traumatic, you don't know. And nobody's asking you, do I need to kiss the boo-boo, the ouchie, you know? This can also be metaphysical. When we experience trauma, whether it's from a car accident, an abusive relationship, or the sudden loss of a loved one, our nervous system becomes completely overwhelmed. The trauma doesn't just live in our minds if unaddressed, it then gets stored down. It stays in the body. Research tells us that trauma impacts our entire autonomic nervous system, leaving us in a chronic state of heightened stress, which can manifest as physical pain or illness. Yeah, we've heard this body-mind connection term, but when it comes to trauma, the connection is far more profound. It's not just the mind affecting the body, it's the body holding on to trauma, creating the physical pain, because that's the only way it can express so that you will listen. It's the temper tantrum syndrome. Our primitive minds, when not connected to spirit, cannot see another way to communicate, nor can it identify the emotion. So the tantrum of the children is the pain we feel today. So let's talk about the pain as a message. This is the magic of this practice. If we ignore or suppress the messages because we're taught to view pain as something to fix, to avoid, or to eradicate, it stays. When the Band-Aid comes off, the visible wound is healed, and the trauma is still stored. So what if we shifted our perspective and began to see our pain as an invitation rather than a punishment? For example, if you have chronic back pain, you might just think it's due to bad posture or an injury. But what if your back pain is asking you to look at how you grew up, the safety of your home, the weight of responsibility you're carrying? The metaphor of weight on your shoulders could be showing up as a physical discomfort in your back or your shoulders and neck. So is there something that you need to let go of, put down, perhaps ask for help with? We can also look at the metaphysical location of the pain along the spine to discover which chakra center the pain is existing around, to tell more of the story about the themes of pain. For instance, my own herniated disc, L5-S1, when I was 20 years old. The fifth lumbar vertebrae close to the sacrum, right? The sacrum is immovable. The location of the Muladhara chakra. So it's immovable, my feeling of unsafety, I'm insecure. So something's got to give. Where does it give? Right where that next movable one is. This is our energetic and emotional center of safety and security in the body. Similarly, neck pain can be linked to a sense of being strangled, unable to use your voice, being attacked at your most vulnerable, as the neck vertebrae are the tiniest vertebrae in your body. Your neck might be an invitation to work with speaking your truth, as the Vishuddhi chakra is located in the throat. A tight chest, body's response to holding grief or unexpressed emotion, and healing it can look like allowing the pectoral muscles, like my client, to loosen their grip around the heart, Anahata chakra. When we can start to see the emotional messages behind the physical symptoms, we open ourselves up to spiritual healing. This requires presence, curiosity, and compassion. That's really hard for most people, to just sit and be curious and care about ourselves. It's about listening to the whispers and the subtle cues, no matter how painful right now it is, instead of just chasing the pain away with the mask of medicine, the very symptoms and feelings your body is trying to communicate to you through. So is there any science behind this, or is this just like, you know, this chick is up here with her experience and personal opinions? Neuroscientific research and Psychophysiology have shown that the body stores trauma in ways we don't fully understand. Trauma can become stuck in the nervous system, leading to dysregulation, manifests as physical pain. You may have heard of Gabor Mate and Daniel Mate, when the body says no, the cost of hidden stress. You might have heard of The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, I can never say it right. Or Carolyn Mays, The Anatomy of the Spirit, the 7 Stages of Power and Healing. Van der Kolk contends that effective therapies must target meaning rather than chemistry to allow traumatic memories to be processed rather than blunted. Mays presents a framework to understand how our emotional and psychological patterns manifest physically, allowing individuals to identify areas of imbalance and work towards spiritual growth by addressing underlying beliefs that affect their energy centers. And Mate directs people to pay attention to physical sensations in their bodies to detect how their emotional state may be having an impact. This is not pseudoscience. This is neuroscience. And also there's somatic memory. Our bodies have a memory, just like our minds do. They're stored in the tissues, and they're not always accessible to our conscious mind, but they're there influencing our physical health. There's even a science of working with stored memory in the bones just by shaking them. You may have heard of the study called ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, that show the direct link between early trauma and physical health problems later in life. People with higher ACEs are at greater risk for chronic disease, autoimmune disorders, heart disease, shocker, diabetes. I'd like to add back pain as the biggest affliction no one seems to be able to figure out. So it's not just a metaphor that trauma is stored in the body, there's a physiological evidence that supports the idea. The challenge then becomes not only identifying the trauma, but then addressing it holistically. And this is where my contemporaries in the holistic, somatic, spiritual, emotional field come in. So here's how we do it. I'm wrapping up. Step 1, openness. Be open. Be aware and present. We're cultivating awareness. When you feel a pain, instead of immediately reaching for a pill or a quick fix or making an appointment at the doctor, bring awareness to the area. Notice what it feels like. What's the texture? What's the color? You know, I'm like, what's the sheen? You can do NLP and you can basically distract your mind until you don't even feel it anymore most of the time. Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it throbbing? Don't judge it, just observe it. And then keep asking. Keep asking. Then you might ask, what is it trying to tell me? What emotions are coming up right now that I'm not addressing? Maybe even do a Google search, metaphysical reason for, and then insert your pain. See what comes up. Step 2, honesty, self-inquiry, svidhyaya we call it in the yamas in yoga. This is where we begin to explore the emotional message. If you have shoulder pain, am I carrying too much responsibility? Do I feel unsupported? Don't be afraid of what you discover. It's normally the first thing that comes, and it's the simplest, so we go, oh no, that can't be it. It's like, yeah. Most often we can't heal because we don't want to admit what the pain is actually about. And we seek a quicker fix, but it's not even possible. It is quick, like my client. 1 session, boom, I'm out. It's only human. Nobody wants to feel pain. As we say in recovery, nobody wants to be here. Nobody wants to feel this or work through this. But nobody wants to go to the emergency room either or spend their whole life in therapy. Nobody wants to eat green vegetables, buy the organic $7 tomatoes, pay out of pocket for the spiritual teacher who's giving us sustainable solutions that come from our own awareness. But this is the issue with our medical industry, treating things instead of just using the innate wisdom of our spirit. We perpetuate the cycle of pain, paying for treatments that keep us locked in that pain cycle. Emotions like guilt, fear, anger, and sadness hide behind the physical pain. So we just have to crack it open a little bit, kindly, gently. Thinking doesn't yield right action, otherwise you'd be able to just quit smoking. Right action yields right thinking. And it's imperative that we call in spirit to help us. Step 3 is willingness. Be willing to let it go. because we hold on to it just like the body holds it and stores it. So once we identify what we need to do, we have to be able to let go of the people, the places, the foods, the habits, the behaviors that produce that pain. And then care for that part of the body the way no one ever did for you. This is the practice of reparenting, not getting rid of the pain immediately, not putting a sucker in the toddler's mouth who's having a tantrum, but actually talking to it, creating a relationship with that pain. And then finding healthy ways to release it. And it just called to mind the image of Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption, letting the pieces of the wall out of his pocket hole in the prison yard through the physical body. For me, having a herniated disc at the age of 20 first meant that I had to give up running. Nobody wants to hear that. I went to every professional in the book, but I shouldn't have been doing anything else other than caring for myself. I had never been seen like this. I had never had my pain looked at. It was always hidden. Hidden in my spine in places that represent feeling safe, held, secure. I never had it, so I had to create it for myself. And this meant I had to go no contact from my abusive father and also leave everything I ever knew behind and travel the world. I learned this in those years, and I want to offer it to you today. So what are the step 4, the somatic healing practices? I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of yoga, right? If you do yoga, you're bringing it up. You're like letting yourself release and let go of, and you're judging yourself in the whole process, right? Am I doing this right? They're doing it better. What am I doing? And that's just in a class, right? But the actual science of yoga, it's actually a science of the mind about releasing samskaras, which are stored memory energy that's stagnant and causing you pain, so that you can get comfortable enough to sit in meditation. That's it. It's a practice of the mind. Breath work, the real form of pranayama, designed specifically to shift your energy from one form to another, to transmute dense energy into light. I teach these. They're really simple. Sometimes you're going to have to do daily practices. Sometimes you're going to have to do weekly practices. Sometimes you're going to have to do things for years. You know, I had to do many things in my life to overcome the physical pain and then access the emotional and spiritual trauma. I sat in temples for years in Cambodia. I traveled around with a foam roller so I could rub out the tightness in my hips from being so fearful and bound my whole life. Sometimes it's as simple as a weekly massage. Sometimes it's 2 sessions of lying on blocks in a particular placement to open your heart. You will know, and I can help you decipher what the messages are that you're hearing, sensing, seeing, receiving. So, who has a pain they want to release? It has a message and it's not your enemy. It's a powerful tool for self-discovery. It helps you tune into your body and listen closely to begin to understand the deeper emotional, spiritual truths they hold. Bless you. True lasting healing isn't about eliminating symptoms. It's about addressing the root causes, no matter what they are. You are all whole beings. You are body, you are mind, you are emotions, you are spirit. And true healing happens when we treat all 4 of these pillars. I'm offering sessions. I offer sessions in the privacy of my home here in Austin. Today I'm offering them. If you'd like to schedule one, please let me know and release the trauma you've been carrying. It's time to let yourself put it down. You don't need to carry it anymore. Let higher power hold it for you. Thanks for listening.